Mrs. Wilson. I'm one of the counseling assistants here at Enlightium. Today, we are going to be discussing standardized testing. We will look at the different tests to know, which include the CLT, the PSAT, the pre-ACT, the ACT, and the SAT. We will look at which tests are available to you depending on your grade level, and we will talk about ways that you can be preparing for testing. So the first test we're going to look at is the CLT-10. So this test is offered to freshmen and sophomores. It is college preparatory. It can be taken as an alternative to the PSAT, especially if you are planning to take the CLT, which we will talk about on the next slide. And the thing that sets the CLT-10 and the CLT apart is that these tests can be taken at home with a parent proctor. So this test is split into 3 sections, which includes verbal reasoning, grammar and writing, and quantitative reasoning. It takes 2 hours, and upcoming testing dates for the CLT-10 are February 12th and April 15th. Next, we have the CLT, which is offered to juniors and seniors. The CLT is accepted by some colleges and universities. It can be an alternative to the SAT and ACT. I would recommend looking to see if the college or university you are interested in going to does accept the CLT, as it is not as widely accepted as the SAT and the ACT are. And like I mentioned before, this test can be taken at home with remote proctoring. So if it's not possible for you to attend a brick and mortar testing site, like at a local public school, then this is an option for you. This test does contain the same 3 sections as the CLT-10, which include verbal reasoning, grammar and writing, and quantitative reasoning. Upcoming dates for the CLT are December 7th, January 25th, and February 20th. Next, we have the PSAT 8 and 9. This test is offered to 8th and 9th graders. It is college preparatory. It might function as a standardized test for your state homeschooling requirements, so be sure to do research to see what your home state requires as far as standardized testing goes, because each state has slightly different requirements for students and homeschool students specifically. When you take the PSAT 8 and 9, your scores can be linked to a Khan Academy account, and that will give you suggestions on how to improve and what areas to focus on in your studies. The PSAT 8-9 covers reading and writing as well as math. Please contact your local school district for testing dates and opportunities. We would encourage you to reach out to them to see what specifics they have to offer, because many districts test either in the fall in October or in the spring, like March or April. And many schools will only offer tests a limited number of times, some schools even once. So it's really important to know which days the tests are being offered and making sure that you are registered. Next, we have the PSAT 10. So this is another college preparatory test. It is falling in the same suite as the PSAT 8-9 as well as the PSAT, which we'll look at in a second. This test can also potentially function as a standardized test for homeschooling requirements for your state. And your scores for the PSAT 10 as well as the PSAT 8-9 can be linked to a Khan Academy account for improvement suggestions. It covers the same topics as the PSAT 8 and 9. Those are reading, writing, and math. We encourage you to contact your local school district for testing dates and opportunities. And most schools that offer the PSAT 10 only offer it once per year, typically in the spring. So it's really essential to know which date your local school or school district is offering this test so you can be sure not to miss it. Next, we have the PSAT. So this test is offered to juniors. It is college preparatory and may function as a standardized testing requirement for your state. Again, it can be linked to your Khan Academy account to identify areas that may need improvement. The topics that are tested in the PSAT include reading, writing, and math. Please do contact your local school district for testing dates and opportunities. Testing is typically offered in October, 1 date per school. So each school most likely will choose a date in October to offer the PSAT, so be sure you are aware of which date your local school or school district is offering this test. Next, we have the pre-ACT, which your Enlightium Academy counselors do recommend. This test is offered to students in grade 10. It is college preparatory. It may function as a standardized test for state homeschooling requirements. IXL offers study guides for pre-ACT students to practice in advance of the test so that you're not going into the pre-ACT without any knowledge of what's going to be on it or what types of questions it's going to ask. And this test provides a predicted ACT score and identifies your areas of strengths and opportunities. So if you're planning to take the ACT, which is widely accepted by colleges and universities, we recommend taking the pre-ACT to prepare for this test. Please contact your local school district for testing dates and opportunities, as testing is typically offered one time per school. Next, we have the ACT. So we are getting into the exams that are typically taken just by juniors and seniors because these exams can be sent to colleges and universities. So like I said, this test is offered to juniors and seniors. It's college preparatory. It tests 4 areas, which makes it a little bit different than the tests we've looked at so far because it also tests on science. So the ACT covers English, math, reading, as well as science. Testing for the ACT does occur several times throughout the school year because this is one of the tests that so many students take and so many colleges require either this or the SAT, which we'll look at in a second. Your local school district likely wants to make sure that every student gets the opportunity to take this test who wants or needs to take it. So contact your local school district to see which dates they are offering these testing opportunities. Next, we have the SAT, which is also recommended by your Enlightium Academy counseling team. This test is offered to juniors and seniors. It is college preparatory. It does meet state requirements for standardized tests. Personalized instruction for improvement is given based on results through Khan Academy. So this test tests 3 different areas: reading, writing, and math. And their website actually has a pretty cool tool called the In-School Assessment Search Tool to find schools that offer in-school tests. So use that tool on the SAT website to find the school near you that is offering the SAT, and then reach out to the staff at that school, maybe somebody from their counseling team, to see how you need to register and to make sure that you have everything you need to successfully prepare for that test. Testing does occur several times throughout the school year for the SAT, so very similar to the ACT in the fact that it's widely accepted. So many juniors and seniors take this test that it is offered multiple times throughout the school year. So, if you are a freshman, what testing options do you have? You can take the CLT 10, especially if you're considering taking the CLT in 11th or 12th grade. You could also take the PSAT 8 and 9, which is recommended. Next, we have 10th graders. So if you're in 10th grade, what testing options do you have? The CLT 10, the PSAT 10, or the PSAT practice test. And you can also take the pre-ACT. So that one is recommended especially if you are planning to take the ACT in 11th or 12th grade. Next, we have our juniors, where you're probably starting to think more about college, where you want to attend. So what tests do you have as options? You could take the ACT, the CLT, the PSAT, or the SAT. And you can take multiple tests. There's no rules against taking more than one. Some students like to take the ACT and the SAT and then just take whichever score is higher to send to colleges, so it's up to you. Next, we have for our seniors who are getting ready to launch into the world, whether that be college or careers. But what testing options do you have? You have the ACT, the CLT, or the SAT. So next, we're going to go over some frequently asked questions for each grade level. So if you're a 10th grader, you might be wondering, why should I even take an assessment? I'm only in 10th grade. I'm not applying to colleges yet. So this test, or testing options, should be taken to see where you're at in your academic progress. It can also help you in making future decisions, whether that be what school you might want to attend or what classes you want to put on your course planner for the future of your career here at Enlightium. Your state might also require that you take an assessment, and when this presentation is sent out, you'll be able to click the links which show you which state homeschooling requirements for standardized testing your state has. So 10th graders might be wondering, well, okay, maybe I need to take the test, but why is it beneficial to me? So your testing, your standardized test, can provide a snapshot of your academic strengths as well as your weaknesses. It also allows your counselor to tailor your learning program according to your results. So say you take a test and you score really strong in math. Maybe your counselor wants you to look at more advanced math options, maybe honors options. So that can be an ongoing discussion between you and your counselor, and having these assessment results can be really helpful for us as your counseling team to determine which types of tests might be best for your schedule, or which types of courses might be best for your schedule. Exam scores can also qualify you for future scholarships, so think of it as an investment in your future. You want to perform well on these tests because they can make you eligible for scholarships, and scholarships are hugely important when attending college. As a 10th grader, you might be wondering, okay, I have these options, I know which tests I could take, but which ones should I take? So if you can't test in person, you can consider the CLT-10. This test does have remote proctoring options, like we mentioned. If you can test in person, we recommend considering the PSAT-10, the PSAT, or the ACT. If you're interested in qualifying for the National Merit Scholarship Program, consider the PSAT. And if you plan to take the ACT in 11th or 12th grade, consider the ACT. So just a number of different options for you to consider depending on what path you're choosing. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure when it comes to which assessment you should take. And don't forget, you can take more than one. All right, maybe juniors are asking what they should be expecting when it comes to taking these tests. So these exams are designed to assess your college readiness and measure your knowledge in various subject areas. The ACT is typically taken in April. The SAT is often taken in May or June, but both tests might be available year-round. So maybe you want to take one test in the fall or winter and then take it again in the spring. You can look into that as an option. And these tests may not be required for you, but they can be very beneficial if you're interested in attending a competitive college, because if you take these tests as a junior, you can see where you're at, and then you can put in some study time over the summer to improve your scores so that when you take these tests again as a senior, you have a better college portfolio. All right, juniors, what are the requirements for you? So be sure to research the testing requirements that are specific to your state. So there are several assessments and might fit your state testing requirements. So that's why research is really important to see which one is going to be most beneficial as far as meeting requirements goes. So that might be the ACT, it might be the SAT, or the CLT. And if you are in a specific state, you might be asked to take additional tests. So you can go on our blog to find out more about state requirements and which tests might be required for you. And be aware of registration deadlines to make sure you have timely completion of the tests that are required. So go onto these websites early, find out what is required for registration, and sign up so it's one less thing on your list. And we don't want to procrastinate this because it's possible that these tests are required for you. So 11th graders, which tests should you take? So again, if you can't test in person, you can consider the CLT. However, if you can test in person, we recommend the PSAT or the ACT. If you are interested in qualifying for the National Merit Scholarship Program, consider the PSAT. So it really just depends where you're at. Can you test in person? Do you want to participate in a scholarship program? And find the test that works best for you and what your desires are. Next, we have our seniors who are probably thinking or maybe already know what they are doing next year. Maybe it is attending a college or university, or maybe it's getting right into your career. So, no matter what your post grad plans are, what should you expect? So, if you are planning to attend college or you're even a little bit interested in attending college, pretty much all colleges require submission of SAT or ACT scores. And some colleges might require other tests, which is why it's important to see, depending on which college you're interested in, which tests they might require in order to be admitted to their school. So spend time preparing for these assessments to make sure that your college application is as strong as it can be. These tests are going to measure your critical thinking skills, your knowledge of English conventions, as well as math skills. So, your education thus far has led you to this point. We don't want you to be nervous because we know that you can do really well based on what you have absorbed over your time throughout high school. Next, as a senior, you might be wondering, well, what's required? I know what I can take, but what do I need to take? So, like I said before, college admissions do require the SAT and ACT most of the time, as well as other tests depending on which college you are wanting to go to. Your state might require national standardized tests. So this could include the Common Core assessment system or any other assessment that is determined by your state's Board of Education. So when this presentation is sent out, click on the link to find more about what your state requirements are. How can you prepare as a senior? So to prepare, research subject-specific proficiency exams to make sure that you are proficient in each subject you are going to be tested on. You can also review career readiness exams. Say you know you're more interested in going into the career field right out of high school rather than going to a college or university. You could take something like the Work Keys assessment. Also, a lot of workforce development boards or educational institutions have career readiness exams, so those are definitely worth looking into to see which career might be best for you. You can also take advantage of online and local resources. So that could be study guides, practice materials, or test taking tips from experts. Don't be afraid to be creative when it comes to researching and preparing for your standardized tests. So a lot of students ask if we offer test fee discounts. We do not offer test fee discounts at this time. So that is all of the content that I have for today's presentation. If you have questions or you want to learn more or you're just excited about getting registered for your tests, please explore the websites that are linked in this presentation, as well as those that are listed on the knowledge base. Contact your counselor for assistance, and be sure to look for emails from your student's counselor or from your counselor with more direction before registering for a high school assessment. Your counselors are really excited to help you with these assessments and finding out which ones are right for you, as well as seeing where you end up in the future. We want to see you thrive and use your God-given knowledge to the best of your abilities. So we're praying for you, and thank you so much for attending this webinar.